99% of the battle is done with just the basics, just getting pesticide, chemical-free food, getting the sun, getting the sleep, getting stress out of your life. You know, how much does it cost to meditate?
From Acapulco, Mexico, this is Anarchast.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. And I really should rename this the health show or something. I think this is like our fifth in a row with just all health stuff. But if you've been following me here on Anarchast, it is a big thing that I'm very interested in. And I just happen to keep running into amazing people doing amazing stuff in the health area. So this isn't just a health channel, but lately it has been. I actually have Dr. Jack Wolfson coming on of Dr. Wolfson's. And we actually kind of met over the internet a few months ago. We were trying to hook up in Phoenix, but it fell through. And then I saw him on Facebook recently, and we got in contact again. And I said, you really, because I'll explain exactly who he is in a second, but I was like, you really should come down to our health and wellness part of Anarchapulco. There's so many amazing people talking about sort of alternative ways to get away from this horrible medical system. And I hooked him up with Catherine Blythe. She's running the health and wellness part. And very immediately, they said, this is going to be great. And he's excited to come. So we're happy to have him. And he calls himself an alternative cardiologist. And he's, we could talk about vaccines as well. He's quite anti-vaccine, but I think we've talked about that quite a bit on this show. We won't get too in-depth into vaccines, but he's also, I think, into paleo, if you're into that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about sort of alternative health stuff that, you're just not getting from the medical system whatsoever. And things that you probably should know if you're interested in having good health, which I would hope you probably have some interest in doing that, because if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. So Dr. Jack Wolfson coming in from the USSA, and it's a pleasure to have you on. And the first question I have to ask you, though, is how did you become a voluntarist?
Yeah, thanks so much, Jeff. Pleasure to be on with you and your crew. And I'm so excited to come to Anarchapulco and talking about holistic heart health and wellness. And, I certainly was not always a voluntarist. I started reading books, by Ayn Rand, and I really gravitated towards that kind of thinking as far as, live and let live and let the best people do what they can outside of government intervention. And that started really applying it to my medical career, because now I'm pigeonholed in this large cardiology practice of which I'm a senior partner. I'm making tons of insurance money, but you can just see there's so much government waste. There's so much abuse from the government, the pharmaceutical industry, the insurance industry, and you realize that this is just not sustainable whatsoever. And along that time, I started, meeting with other people, talking with other people. And that's when I met my wife, and my wife opened up my eyes to all things health and wellness. And we started talking about opening up a cash-based practice. Let's get rid of the insurance industry, and just, remove them from the equation and really be able to help people on their own. And then along with that, of course, came some of the vaccine stuff. And I think vaccines are dangerous and should be abolished. But at the very least, they should be voluntary. Like if I want to have it or I want my children to have it, that's up to me and my decision. And now, as of this, it is sitting on the governor of California's desk about basically, you cannot get out of vaccinating your child. The government is going to decide who even gets a medical exemption. So now there's no more philosophical, there's no more religious exemption, and now they're going to get rid of medical essentially, because there's going to be some government bureaucrat that takes away the decision from your doctors. They've already taken it away from the parents, and it's going to be up to them to decide. And then finally, Jeff, where do they go next? Where do they mandate, what kind of chemotherapy that everybody has to need? We put statin drugs in the drinking water. Everybody has to be on aspirin. We'll test your blood levels to make sure you're on the aspirin and make sure you're on the statin drugs and the blood pressure drugs. And they'll just label it for the betterment of society.
Yeah, actually, Trump and the U.S. federal government have been talking recently about tracking Fitbit data and Apple Watch data to try to see if they can see who's going to commit a violent act before they do it. This is getting insane what they're actually doing. And of course, they've just started putting in these red flag gun laws, which if Barack Obama had put it in, all the conservatives and Republicans would go insane and declare a civil war. But because their hero, Donald Trump, put it in, it's okay. So now if you just kind of feel like maybe someone, he's a little bit off or he might be a little bit crazy, You just call 911 and they come and take his guns, and now they're going to be tracking you with your watch. This is getting absolutely insane, and I'm glad you brought up California, because I think that's really ground zero for this vaccine thing right now. And I follow it quite a bit because I just can't believe they're even doing it. It's so Orwellian right now. And for people out there, if you don't know, there's a couple of people who really covered in California are doing a great job. One's name, I think she pronounces it Lyra de la Vega. Check her out on Facebook. She's always posting stuff. And I think another good one is Jonathan Lockwood, if you want to see that. But I think it just passed. So they're going to forcefully inject, the government is going to forcibly inject a bunch of chemicals into kids. And if you say no, you're going to end up in jail or things like that. This is absolutely crazy.
Well, they're also, is that they're saying, well, it's not, you don't have to send your kids to public school or private school. You can homeschool your kids and therefore not get vaccinated. But what if you're someone who has to work? What if you can't homeschool your kids? What if you can't afford to do it? You have to do this. So even those people get vaccinated. So we know people that are streaming out of California, but where do you go next? And if Hillary Clinton was president of the United States right now, undoubtedly there will be a federal vaccine mandate. They would have removed it from the states and they would have made it totally federal. And that was, something we were interested that Donald Trump said, because Donald Trump was against mandatory vaccination. At least he alluded to that. But I think he's so just surrounded with so many other problems that he has going on right now that the vaccine issue got kind of washed under. But I certainly agree. And as far as I see what the government and with the insurance industry, how it has just destroyed medicine and really just made it just a factory of farm. Doctors are glorified pharmacists. They never get to the cause of why people have health problems. They're just about pills and surgeries because that's how we get reimbursed. We see a lot of people, very quickly, and it's the people that are suffering. And it really has to be better. And I love health savings accounts. When I spoke at Fest last year, I was speaking about health savings accounts where people can actually, once again, use their money. They would have a catastrophic policy in case something catastrophic happened, but really putting the control back into the consumer. Now it's all on me to stay healthy as opposed to depending on somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up being sort of a doctor who does cash sort of things. I would just like to throw in there to all the doctors out there. We just had Kyle Varner on just recently as well to also accept cryptocurrency. I think that'd be really great. And so let's get into exactly what you do. You're a cardiologist, but you call yourself an alternative cardiologist. So what does that mean?
Well, I'm a board certified cardiologist. I went through 4 years of medical school, 3 years internal medicine. I was on the job, once again, seeing a lot of patients, a lot of insurance dollars, making well over $1 million a year, which is a pretty good living by most standards. And the beautiful thing about it, Jeff, too, is that it was like no brainer work. Yes, it's you need a brain to be a cardiologist, but as far as collecting the money, that revenue stream, it's just every month guaranteed you get a check for $85,000 dropping into your account, and there was no worry or concern about, hey, do I need to be a good businessman? Do I need to be even a good doctor? It's just the money was always there because it's just the system is so rigged towards that. And when I met my wife in 2005, and she opened up my eyes and said, listen, your father is sick from a variety of reasons. These are the reasons why. Mayo Clinic has no idea why. The patients are all sick around me. It is a total money factory. Jeff, I'm telling you, we would sit there in a room of 30 cardiologists, and we would talk about best medicine, but we would talk about how to make more money, how to generate more revenue into the practice. And then again, it took me a few years to extract myself from that money train and get up the confidence to be able to leave that. And then in 2012, opened up my own practice, cash-based cardiology, extended office visits, really getting to why people have issues, the most advanced testing in the world. And now people from all over the world come to see me. We do Skype calls. We do Zoom calls. If they can't make it in person, we offer so many different things. So you can fire your local doctor. I don't need their help. You don't need their help. If it's an emergency, go to an emergency room. But if you want to prevent, and I know, Jeff, I've seen your stuff and how interested in prevention you are, that's really what we want to do. We want to take it back into the hands of the individual to, again, become healthy, and understand the right way to do it, because they're not going to learn it from the medical doctor, for sure. And finally, on that note, to me, I would love to see the doctor of chiropractic, become really that kind of go-to for all things health and wellness. My wife's a chiropractor, tons of friends that are chiropractors. Go see somebody who really goes after the cause, can use their hands to heal, and not use a prescription pad. And this is especially true for the children as well.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about chiropractors at all. I just assumed it was if you had a bad back, you went to a chiropractor. That's all I knew about it. And then Dr. Sherry Tenpenny came on a couple of years ago talking about vaccines. And when she talked about chiropractic stuff, I was like, oh, that sounds like stuff I'm into. Like, it's like actually fixing the problems and actually understanding how the body works and getting it aligned properly and things like that. And I've actually been seeing a chiropractor about once a week here in Mexico, and it's been great. And I agree that that's is a good thing for people to do. So if you haven't done it, I would actually just suggest, from my own experience, just go, even if you don't have a bad back or anything, just go and see if you're out of alignment. And because, the body is, I'm no doctor, I'm no expert, but I think it needs, it's like an organic thing that needs to be all running well and all in alignment. And of course, when you look at the medical system today, and you pointed it out, that most of these doctors have no idea about how to actually have a healthy body. They just know you have certain symptoms. Oh, then I work for the pharmaceutical companies. I'm just a drug dealer. Oh, I type it in and they say, give him this pill, give him this pill, give him this pill. Takes away the symptoms that he has, but it actually doesn't really fix the problem most of the time, does it?
No, certainly not. They never, because we're not trained that way. It's like from the first day of medical school, it's all owned by the pharmaceutical industry. I'm sure some of your previous guests have talked about the Flexner report in 1910. That was sponsored by John D. Rockefeller. So Rockefeller in the early 1900s, he's concerned about revenue from oil. There's other people, he's making billions of dollars from oil as the founder of Standard Oil Company, John D. Rockefeller. But he's nervous because there's electrical energy, that's coming. People are talking about wind power and water power. It's not all about oil and gas. So what does he do? He wants to come up with some alternative revenue streams, and he realizes that there is a way, and he's got people in his corner that tell him that there's a way to make drugs, to make other chemicals that affect the body out of oil. So what does he do? He commissions people within the government to create this report. And at that time in 1910, the Flexner report came out and was done by Abraham Flexner. And Flexner and his brother Simon are involved here. And what do? They basically say all alternative, all what they label now as alternative. Why I have to call myself alternative. These alternative people over here that are practicing homeopathy and osteopathy and chiropractic, we need to shut them down. And this is all going to be a government certification process that is all about pharmaceuticals. And that's where it started in 1910. A lot of those doctors that were alternative were jailed. They shut down their practice. They shut down the schools. And then, once again, that's how modern pharmacy and modern doctors and medical education was born. And but there is opportunity for people like me now to exist because the public demands it. And the public they don't want the pharmaceuticals. The next generation, the 10-year-old, the 20-year-old, the 30-year-old, they see how sick their parents and grandparents are. They don't want to take the whole list of drugs. They actually want better. And that's what I do on my website and on my podcast and on my Facebook and social media and whatever, until of course social media shuts us down. Which is we can get into next. I'll tell you some of my travails over there. But when I was on CNN back in 2015, and during the measles outbreak, I was debating some other Doc Hollywood, and I was railroaded. I'm not speaker trained, obviously. I'm not media trained. I got on there on CNN, and they just they barbecued me. And then based on what I said is that, hey, listen, it's children need quality food. They need sunshine. They need sleep. They need chiropractic care. See a doctor of chiropractic. That led to 38 board complaints against me and lots of calls for people to take my license and death threats and stuff like that. But, once again, the truth is coming out. I'm here to spread the truth. I know you're a truth seeker, truth teller. And, and it's just, once again, it's so exciting for me and gratifying because I can really help people now, again, by doing the most advanced testing in the world, telling them common sense information, and we're getting just, again, tremendous results, and it's the people that are winning.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of change going on. There's a lot of hope, but it's still quite a battle, as you know. And that's amazing that you said that kids should just eat a good diet and get some sunshine, and you're getting death threats. That's how crazy this whole system is. And I wasn't aware of that Rockefeller study, but I'm not surprised whatsoever to find out that Rockefeller is at the beginning of this. He's at the beginning of so many horrible things. He essentially, the whole hemp thing, hemp would make the world so much better instead of forestry and things like that, but they got rid of that 100 years ago. They made it illegal for that reason, and also it cures so many things as well, or at least alleviates a lot of pain and things like that. And he also started feminism in the 1930s, which we're now seeing today with all this crap. Not to say I don't even want to get into the feminism thing, but he's behind so many just horrible things. Like if that guy was never born, this world would be a different place.
Jeff, I do want to tell you about that as well, is that when the Flexner report came out in 1910, what they said is that women, so Flexner's conclusion was women should not become doctors. That was in 1910. He says women should not be doctors. They should stay in the home. And I believe women, moms should be in the home. I love that idea. My mom was a house mom. My wife does so many things, but she's a mom first and foremost. But he says that women should not go to medical school. And then he also said that you can, if you're black, you can become a doctor, but you should only treat black people. That was in the Flexner report. So again, it is really exciting time to be able to get that information out there. But as Google has interest in limiting us. Facebook is interest in limiting us. Our website, our page was kicked off of Pinterest. We were told to stand down on Vimeo, and us and a lot of other websites are under attack from Google because, again, Google and Facebook and their search bots, anytime you talk about something that they have labeled as something you shouldn't talk about, your posts go nowhere, and obviously there's the constant threat of your page and your site getting taken down, which I'm sure you've dealt with those issues as well.
Oh, yeah, very well aware. Anyone sort of speaking anything kind of true, anything that the system doesn't want people to know is just completely under attack. I just saw a recent thing about Google, about numerous health sites that they're basically the ability to find them via Google is down like 95% in the last year or two. This is just par for the course. And a lot of them are just saying things like just eat some good food. Like, this is so insane, and people just need to wake up. And for me personally, a big part of why I like telling people about this is because the people who watch the show are mostly good people. They're anarchists, they're voluntarists. They don't want to hurt other people. They don't want to control and enslave other people. So I want our kind of people to be as healthy as possible. So that's another reason I like talking about this. And you brought up being preemptive with these sort of things. And I just sort of had this thought like last week as I'm doing all my health stuff. And I was a little late for this interview because I was actually at the spa doing a number of treatments. Before that, I was doing my coffee enema, my meditation, my yoga, all that kind of stuff. And I thought last week, I'm like, man, a lot of the stuff I'm doing is actually what they do at alternative health clinics for cancer, like coffee enemas, ozone machines, all kinds of stuff. But I was like, man, why doesn't everyone do this? Why would you wait until you get sick before you start doing this stuff? Everyone's got, like, everything in this world seems to be backwards. And I know you, I don't know a ton about you. Like, I've seen you and I've looked through your website a little bit. We've never met in person. But I see you offer a number of products and stuff, and it all looks like, really health related products. So is that a big part of what you do is kind of help people not get sick?
Yeah, well, certainly that is, I see a lot of sick people, that have already had heart attacks, strokes, cardiomyopathy, atrial fibrillation. I love seeing, people for prevention, of course, as well, before things happen. But a lot of times, Jeff, people come in like, I can't afford the supplements. I can't afford to go somewhere for hyperbaric and ozone and IV therapy. And I get all that. Can you afford to go to sleep when you're supposed to? Can you afford to go to sleep with the sun down and then wake up with the sunrise? How much does that cost? Can you afford to get out in the sun, where the sun is the source, of life? When you go outside and plants and animals and everything is outside, and we're the only ones that are inside. Can you afford to go outside, not only get sun, but can you get natural light? Can you afford to get chemicals and poisons out of your house? So those things are all free. Those are free. If we talk about eating organic food, if we talk about IV therapy, if we talk about ozone, hyperbaric, beamer mats, or whatever we want to talk about, that stuff does cost money. But again, 99% of the battle is done with just the basics, just getting pesticide, chemical-free food, getting the sun, getting the sleep, getting stress out of your life. How much does it cost to meditate, right? How much does it cost if you want to do yoga in your house? So #no excuses. And you know what? Stop going to your local coffee shop and getting your crap a frappuccino. Stop wasting your money on your hair and your nails and other type of stuff. Do things the right way. And that's how we're going to have the answers. Yeah, I sell a lot of evidence-based supplements, and supplements help to supplement the healthy lifestyle. I do the most advanced testing in the world to determine, hey, do you need more vitamin B1? Do you need more glutathione? Do you need more antioxidants? We need to test to see where we're at. But let me say one more thing too, Jeff, about once again, about censorship from the media. That is the best thing about going to Anarchapulco. That is the thing about it, is because we're there and our message gets heard loud and clear, and no one's going to censor it. We're going to be there. We're going to be talking. We're going to be sharing this health and wellness information. I'm going to do, the opportunity for a deep dive into cardiovascular health, and I'll talk as long and go as long as anybody wants to be able to give them the best health information in the world. But again, that's the beauty, because if you say, what if social media shuts us down? What if the internet shuts us down? Well, now we're back to the street corner, just shouting, the truth with a megaphone. But we got the megaphone right now, and it's at events like Anarchapulco. So there's nothing better than being there live to hear this kind of information.
Yeah, absolutely. And you haven't been before, but you will see it's pretty amazing. And I can't believe the list of people that got coming down for the health and wellness in 2020. It's by far the most and the best people from around the world. It's pretty amazing. And you brought up actually earlier about just getting some sunlight. And that's another thing I do as well. After I do all my stuff, I actually like to go out in the sun. I live here in Mexico, so that's pretty easy. And do some yoga in the sun and just get, 20 minutes of sun every day. And it's amazing how if you listen to the mainstream, it's be careful, don't get too much sunlight, you'll get cancer. Spray this crap on your skin, which actually will give you the cancer if you go out in the sun. Like everything out there is almost meant to make you sick.
I mean, the sun, of course, the sun makes vitamin D, right? So cholesterol is coursing through the skin. The sun hits it and it turns that cholesterol into vitamin D. So many people are labeled with high cholesterol. They have low vitamin D because they never get sun. If they get sun, cholesterol goes down because it turns into vitamin D. Now, there's receptors for vitamin D everywhere in the body. So that makes it pretty darn important. And that's why people with the highest levels of vitamin D have the lowest risk of everything. And again, where do you get the vitamin D? Not from a pill bottle. You get it from the sun. And maybe in some sick, twisted way, again, the pharmaceutical industry, in bed with the medical doctors that work for them, they don't want us to get the sun because they want us to get sick. And then once we get sick, now we're customers for life. The sun makes melatonin happen. Melatonin, of course, helps us to sleep. The sun makes nitric oxide, which opens up blood vessels for blood vessels to flow. The sun structures the interior of the water inside of us. It makes blood flow. It makes the blood vessels slick. Again, all life lives outside in the sun and in the light. And I see people, once again, from all over the world, Jeff. And I see people from your home country of Canada. I see people, from Russia, from Norway, from Minnesota, my hometown of Chicago, Seattle, Portland. They don't get sunshine. And they say, what do I do? And I say, move. Move.
You're not supposed to live up there.
Move to Arizona. Move somewhere where you can get sun. Okay, I can't afford to move, or I got my family, my friends, my job. I can't move. Okay, then take a lot of vacations. I can't afford to take a lot of vacations. I've got this and that. Okay, all I can do is give you answers, and it's up to you what you do with it. So, and then again, let's test your vitamin D levels. Let's test your levels of omega-3. Everybody and their mother is going crazy about, being vegan and getting rid of animal products and all this bogus propaganda about how we're going to save the earth if we get rid of free-range grass-fed cows, and we should stop eating wild seafood. I mean, this is just such ill information that will continue to lead to further sickness, and the destruction of humanity is where things are going. It's going in that direction. It sounds fatalistic. I want to be hopeful. I want to be part of the solution, but it's scary times. We got a lot of things going on right now.
Yeah, what I think about, I used to get really, because I can just see it. It's almost like they're trying to genocide most of the world. If you look at the Georgia Guidestones, they're like the population needs to be reduced by 95%. You look what they're doing with vaccines and chemtrails and fluoridation in the water and the food systems destroyed and all that kind of stuff. It looks like that's what they're doing. And I used to kind of be like, we have to stop them. And I do definitely want to stop them because these people are evil. But on like the optimistic note, I think the smart people that have figured out what's going on, they'll actually be okay. People like ourselves, like we know what's going on. We're not going to do all this crap. So we're still going to be okay. It's just unfortunate that a lot of other people who have no idea what's being done to them aren't. And that's why it's really important to share these videos, guys. And you pointed out that I'm surprised we're still on YouTube. It's probably not going to be much longer. For that reason, make sure you go to anarchast.com and put in your email. We send out an email every time a video comes out. And so when we get off YouTube, we're on BitChute. We're on a number of others. But at least you'll get the email, so you'll get this information. Even go to Anarchapulco.com, sign up to the email list, because I'm sure all this stuff will be pretty much wiped off the internet pretty soon. But I'm glad you brought up the point about northern climates. Or even southern, but mostly northern, because most people live in the northern hemisphere, I suppose. But when you were talking about the sun, I was going to bring up that when I grew up in Canada, I was sick all the time. It felt like I was sick my entire childhood. And everyone around me was sick. Everyone's got the flu. Everyone's coughing. Everyone's runny nose. And I grew up in Edmonton, which is northern part of Canada. Well, it's not in the north, but it's the most northern city, I think, in the world, or at least one of the coldest anyway. And I just remember everyone was sick. And then when I turned basically 21, I'm like, I'm out of Canada. I'm done with this place. I said to my family, why do you live there? This is insane. We're not supposed to live in minus 40 weather. And after living in Mexico and other places, I'm never sick. And this is even before I got into my health stuff. I just was never sick anymore. So I think a huge part of it, as you pointed out, it's so simple. It's just get some sunshine. I have one question, though, for people who are a little bit stuck and they can't leave right away or anything like that. I always thought it might not be a bad idea to go to those tanning booths, but maybe you have a different opinion on that.
Yeah, I think tanning booths, have some usefulness. I think that, being smart about it, right? When you and I were in high school, it was, because coming from Chicago, it was all about getting into these tanning booths, and we'd walk out fried, and the girls who would go there, 3, 4, 5 times a week, that behavior was kind of bad. If we need to use tanning booth, make sure you find a quality source of that. Don't go too long. Just get what you can, but also get tested once again. See what it does for your vitamin D levels. And go from there. I think the other thing, you mentioned about some of these colder climates, which can be a problem anywhere, but I think also is that when you're in a cold climate, you're kind of always indoors for a lot of the time. You're not getting outside. And what is in the indoor air? That is something called mold, M-O-L-D. And mold and its spores and mycotoxins that get released when you see mold in the shower, when you see mold under the sink, under the toilet, in the laundry. Mold lives in the walls, and the mold releases those mycotoxins, and they're making people drastically sick. They destroy the immune system, lead to coronary artery disease, on and on and on, lead to cancer. The information that's coming out now about mold and mold toxicity, and I believe everybody should get mold tested. So in my office, we offer a mold mycotoxin test as well. We've got it on our website, thedoctorswolfson.com, on our shop page, and we just send you out the kit. You pee in a cup, and we see how much mold exposure you're getting. And if you're getting exposed to mold, you got to find it because it is deadly. And I think that's another issue once again, because I was always sick in Chicago, and everybody's always sick in Chicago. And, it's from the wintertime, it's the lack of sun, the immune system damage. You throw in this whole mold story, and it's the perfect storm. But now you move to, once again, a sunny climate, and now you can actually get outside. And, yeah, you're still going to be sick, but maybe not quite as much because you are getting that sun and you are getting fresh air, and you're able, once again, to get outdoors a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't think I've actually been sick, and I can't remember. It must be at least, 15 years, like nothing, no cold, no flu, no nothing. And I only got into this health stuff a couple of years ago. So, there's a big part of it is just, that sort of environment. But one thing that we were going to do when I went to Phoenix and we just missed each other, you're kind of like me, you seem to be always on the go, and we just missed each other. But you wanted me to come down and you were going to do like some blood tests. And you said basically it's super, what you do is you really look at it and you can really tell what I'm missing and what I'm not and that sort of thing. So is that something you'll be offering at Anarchapulco, or is this something you even offer online? Because I'd still like to do it, but we just didn't do it in person.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff we can do online. The stuff really, it has to be done in the United States. So we got to find a United States lab for most of these companies. That's just how these companies run. They're U.S. based, the top quality ones that I know of. So it is a thing where sometimes either you got to travel to Arizona to see me. I got a phlebotomist in office. We do all the stuff we need to do. Or if you're somewhere else in the U.S. or Canada, sometimes people just kind of slip over the border and we send it to a local draw facility up there. But it's really about identifying again. Jeff, you're doing all these amazing things. You look good, you feel good, but what's going on the inside? There's this guy Bob Harper. Bob Harper is famous from this TV show, The Biggest Loser. And Bob Harper looks awesome. Bob Harper looks like he's in amazing shape and he's muscles and he's totally fit. And then he has a massive heart attack and everybody is like, why? I don't know Bob Harper personally. I don't know exactly what he was eating. I don't know his stress level. I know he's living in New York and not getting sunshine and all the pollution and chemicals and all that stuff. He's not leading a very healthy lifestyle. He looks good on the outside, and maybe he feels good, but what's going on the inside? And you don't know unless you test it. And that's the importance. And the traditional medical doctors, they do garbage testing. A lot of them don't even think they even need to check for advanced cholesterol numbers, markers of inflammation, because they think the answer is always statins. So just go on a statin anyways. So that's obviously, I'm so passionate about this. Jeff, my father died. He was an amazing man. He was a brilliant man. He was, and once again, you and I were talking offline. We used to go to Acapulco all the time when I was in my late teens, early 20s. He was the life of the party. He loved going out to some of those Acapulco places and hanging out at the beach and the pool and the golf and all that stuff. And then he got sick and then he died and nobody knew why. I don't want myself to be, I don't want to orphan my kids and my wife. I don't want other fathers and mothers to suffer the same fate either. I've seen too much sickness. I want to do something about it. So I appreciate the opportunity to share the information, obviously on the Anarchast and then live at Anarchapulco. I'm going to have just a killer presentation and really, really, really be able to give people the hope that we can do something about heart disease, all disease, prevent, treat, reverse, cure, whatever it is. We can do it. You can do it. You can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. As you just pointed out, it's not that hard. Definitely, you have to take some action. You have to do some things, but a lot of this stuff you can fix, and you can be ahead of it and not get sick. And that's really the key, in my opinion. And actually, my dad has a place near Phoenix, and I go up every now and then because I'm a big hockey fan. So when my Edmonton Oilers team play in Phoenix, sometimes I'll just go up as a direct flight from down here. So next time I'm up there, I'll definitely try to come by. Maybe I can do a little video on getting the bloods tested and all that kind of stuff, and see what I might be missing or any sort of issues that I might have. So that's great. So yeah, looking forward to you coming down. Anarchapulco started off as just basically sort of like an anti-government sort of thing for us, a few hundred of us who knew how bad the government was to get together. Now it's grown to probably 3,000 people in 2020, and a big part of it has changed to a lot of health and wellness stuff. So before the conference this year and even afterwards is a whole health and wellness event. Check out the website. By the time this video is live, we should have a ton of information on there. If not, check back right away because we're putting stuff up all the time. Anarchapulco.com. February 13th to 16th. The 2 days before is the health and wellness of February 11th and 12th. If you can come for the whole week, it's the best. If you're coming from the north, it's February. You're going to get some sun. sun, so that'll be good, and get some good, nice clean air coming off that ocean without any chemtrails. I haven't seen any chemtrails down here yet, and things like that. So, real pleasure to have you on. Is there anything that you wanted to mention that you haven't mentioned? And if not, why don't you just let people know once again your website, perhaps any products you might have, or anything else you want to let people know?
Yeah, sure thing, Jeff. Thank you again for the opportunity to share my opinions and my knowledge. And I think, is that right now, there's so many different threats from government that are going on right now, but certainly healthcare really seems to be first and foremost in a lot of people's minds, because it's affecting all generations, all people, and in such dramatic fashion where the government is really coming in and taking control. I mentioned this to you as well. I mean, how many hundreds of thousands of jobs are in the Department of Health and Human Services, the State Department of Health, the County Department of Health? It's all such fraudulent waste. All of these jobs are just an absolute waste. And of course, their job is to perpetuate this waste. So they do continue to have a job. So again, they just continue to control. Horrible situation. We'll keep fighting. The website's called thedoctorswolfson.com. You go to thedoctorswolfson.com. You can get a free copy of my book, The Paleo Cardiologist, The Natural Way to Heart Health. All you got to do is pay shipping. My book is available on Amazon, available for Audible download. I'd love for you to come to my website. Amazon's got plenty of money already. If you want to come and take a look at my stuff, I'll be happy to send you a copy as well, like I said, for free shipping. So we're even cheaper than Amazon as well. But once again, just excited to share all this information. We've got a ton of evidence-based supplements. I vetted everything. I created so many of my products. I know who manufactures my products. I've been to the manufacturing facility. I stand behind it. My patients get results. That's why, again, people from all over the world come to see me for the best in holistic heart care. So thank you again, Jeff.
Thank you. We'll have the links to all that down below. And just to kind of finish up on the point of how these government bureaucracies get so crazy, that's why we as anarchists or voluntarists are so in favor of everything being private, everything not being government run, because when you run a government agency or any organization, your number one goal is for that organization to grow. You don't have a profit or loss. So if you are managing 50 people, you want to grow it to 500 people. You want to grow it to 50,000 people. And this is what we're seeing in all these departments now. Whereas it's the exact opposite in the private market. If you have a business and you have 50 people, but you can possibly get by with 40 and make more money, you will. So you're always looking at how you can make it more efficient. Government does the exact opposite. So looking forward to seeing it down in Acapulco in February. We'll have all the links to everything down below. Please like, subscribe, share this video, especially if you know anyone with any major serious health issues, particularly any sort of heart issues. They should definitely check into what Dr. Wolfson is doing and come down if possible to Anarchapulco. So I'll leave it at that. That's it for Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. Peace, love, and anarchy.
Anarchapulco is so hype, I'm trying to tell ya. This the event of the year and best vacation ever. Ron Potter, Jeffrey Tucker, just to name a few. Get your tickets, you don't want to miss it. You should roll through. Talking politics to health and self-improvement to investing. So many things, not one thing. Learn how to live life unchained, yeah. 4 days vibing on the beach, time to connect. All about growth, way more than a conference. This is Anarchapulco, yeah. Let's go.
You ain't seen nothing yet.